Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, share, and comment. We're going to get to some more of your comments at the end of this today. We usually only do that on Thursday, but we're going to pop in a few for you today. Hope you had a great weekend. I had an extremely lazy weekend. It was needed, but fun nonetheless. Just a little more relaxed and got to watch a lot of football, including Saquon Barkley breaking the Eagles' single season rushing record, which is why he is currently the NFL MVP. Now, I've been beating this drum for a few weeks now that I think Saquon is the leader in the clubhouse for the NFL MVP. I understand what Josh Allen did. We'll talk about him in a second. But Saquon Barkley breaking my former co host, LaShawn McCoy's single season rushing record for the Philadelphia Eagles is very significant. He's on pace for 2,122 rushing yards, which would top the all-time single-season rushing mark set by Eric Dickerson in 1984, 2,105. Again, these single-season records, like, it's more games. So do we look and see if he does it in 16 or 17? The records are kind of going to get a little skewed now, but regardless, we know that when it comes to non-quarterbacks winning NFL MVP, they have to do something so over the top and spectacular and almost unreasonable to even be considered for it. So whether it's done in 16 or 17, being able to say that you broke Eric Dickerson's single season record and then being the leading rusher of all time would with that record would change things in that conversation. So he is looking to become the first non-quarterback to win MVP since Adrian Peterson did it in 2012. We all remember how spectacular that season was, but there is Josh Allen lingering over the MVP conversation. And look, Josh deserves to be in the conversation for sure. But as we know, the wins have to match the stats when it comes to this. And that was a tough loss for the Bills yesterday. Now, he did become the first player in NFL history with 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in a game. So he did do his thing, but did his thing and they lost. So the Bills, I don't think that they're going to spiral. They do have the Lions next, though, so that could be back-to-back losses, and it's in Detroit, obviously a dome, but on the road. Then they have the Patriots, Jets, and then at the Patriots to end the season. So light 3-game stretch after the Lions, but back-to-back losses could be really significant in this conversation. Meanwhile, the Eagles' remaining schedule is pretty interesting as well. They have the Steelers and the Commanders, so 2 really tough games. Then they have the Cowboys and the Giants. So those 3 games to finish the season, all in division, could be very interesting. But the Steelers and Commanders obviously are the only 2 teams that are in contention, or I really feel like could give them a fight. So it's going to be interesting down the stretch as far as the MVP race goes. Like I said, it's been the most interesting one that we've had in a while. And I love that Saquon is having the season that he's having and was, able to break that single season rushing record. LaShawn posted something about it. I know he's very excited for him. And I'm just happy for Saquon. He deserves this. And I'm going to dunk on the Giants for this move every single time. But right now, Saquon is leading in the NFL MVP race. So me, if you disagree, let me know. Speaking of the Giants, oh my God. What a Giants way to lose that game against the Saints, right? Like, just climb back in it and then have it end that way. The Giants are likely going to get the number 1 pick. Now, they are right there. They're like neck and neck with the Raiders. But if they do end up holding off and getting the number 1 overall pick, I do think they need to go all in and try to get Shador and go get Dion if they let go of Daboll. So there's a lot of moving parts here. I happen to still think that Daboll is a great developer of young quarterbacks. The only reason that they're in this situation is because he made Daniel Jones look so good that they paid him and moved off of Saquon, and that was Daboll. We've seen what he's able to do with quarterbacks, and for that reason, I would hang on to him. But if they let Daboll go, they need to go all the way in. They need to go all the way in. They need to get Shador and they need to get Dion and just move forward in a new direction. The Giants are a cornerstone organization in the NFL. They are a huge brand in the New York City. They need a change of course. You've got Giants fans with bags on their heads talking about sell the team, which I don't disagree with, but that's not going to happen. So change course. Do something aggressive and bold and different. And if the Cowboys goof around and don't go get Deion. And again, this is all contingent on Deion actually leaving college football, which he has said he's not, but that doesn't mean anything to me because coaches change their minds all the time. And he can't say he's leaving right now in the midst of the college football season. That's not going to work. So everyone who's like, he said he's not leaving, like, okay, maybe he won't, but maybe he will. And if he does end up leaving, it doesn't matter that he said he was going to stay. That's what he has to say right now. Now, as far as going down the line of how they would get the number 1 overall pick, like I said, they're right there with the Raiders. They have the 5th toughest remaining schedule. They have the Ravens, they're at the Falcons, and the Colts and the Eagles. So it's looking in their favor that they are going to get the number 1 overall pick. It would be the 3rd time that they had it, 1951 and 1965. And Shedeur is currently the odds-on favorite to be drafted number 1. You've obviously got Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, and Jalen Milroe. And like I said, if they fire Daboll, they're going in a new direction. It'd be their 6th coaching hire in 8 years. They are a complete disaster of an organization at this point, and they need a new aggressive direction. Like they can't keep doing what they're doing. It's been awful. The organization has been struggling for years. I've been on that. I've been saying that the Giants have been riding off of those Super Bowls and just the overall brand forever. That little pop with Daniel Jones was not convincing enough for me that they had changed their ways. Clearly, I was right. Moving off of Saquon, paying Daniel, and then, here we are with this disaster of a season, and they're on the pace to get the number 1 overall pick. Be aggressive, change course, go and swing big. It's New York City. Go do something exciting. Something crazy just happened in New York City. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. So, Bill Belichick, apparently this North Carolina thing is like actually a thing. I cannot imagine Bill Belichick recruiting or dealing with NIL, but there are talks between him and UNC, and apparently they're ongoing. So according to reports, the talks are ongoing for their head coaching job, and there's some hopes of coming to a resolution this week. I mean, Bill Belichick in college football is insane to me. He's no connection to college football whatsoever since he played at Wesleyan in 1975, which was 50 years ago. I feel like college football has changed a little bit. The transfer portal opens today for the NCAA, which will only leave the roster in complete limbo. And from the UNC side of things, didn't you just fire a 73-year-old? Mac Brown was fired last Tuesday. Belichick turned 73 in April. I mean, I guess he's a young 73, if you know what I mean. But what is the point of this? I literally don't understand. College football is a different sport than the NFL. I say this all the time and people flip out like, it's football. Yes, guys, I understand that it's football. But the structure of the sport is different. They actually even have different rules, right? This is a different system. You can't lose 5 games and still go to the playoffs. Like there's a lot going on here. And when you introduce NIL and the transfer portal to someone who has not worked in college football their entire career, what is this adjustment period? Again, at 72, turning 73 years old. Not to mention the tiny little detail of him having complete control over the Patriots organization. And after Tom Brady leaving, going 22-29, including 4-13 his final year with the Patriots, the worst season they've had since 1992. We're just forgetting that happens. I just don't get it. I don't know what's wrong with retirement. I can't wait to retire and just have a little, just a little drink, like a little Prosecco or something, like on the beach, chilling, reading a book, just peace and soft energy. But apparently that's not the case. I do not understand from either side why this makes sense. Other than a splash, this is not the business that he works in. He works in the NFL, and you just fired a 73-year-old in Mac Brown. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I can't understand it. So the NFC number 1 seed race is going to be crazy. And these next couple weeks are going to be so exciting because the Eagles and the Lions are vying for that number 1 spot, and their remaining schedules are so interesting. So as I said earlier, the Eagles' remaining schedule is the Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. The Lions' remaining schedule is Bills, Bears, at Niners, and then the Vikings. So the Lions have the 8th toughest remaining schedule. The Eagles have the 18th. But again, those 3 games, the Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants, are all in division. And division games they just get weird. And the Lions are 1 win shy of setting a franchise record for this season, and they obviously have the current best odds to win the Super Bowl. And the Eagles and Chiefs are tied for second best odds. But these last couple weeks with the Lions and with the Eagles have been very interesting because the Eagles just really struggled against the Panthers. You've got some talks about the passing game and the struggles and frustrations that they're having with that. And the Lions just had 2 close games against the Bears and Packers, albeit in division. So I don't overreact too much to those games being close like other people do. I think divisional games go differently than we expect all the time. But to watch these 2 teams go down the wire to try and get the number 1 overall seed in the NFC is going to be so fun. And much like the MVP race, I think it's just going to come down all the way to the wire. And I don't know. I don't know who ends up doing it because while I think the Lions have been in control and have been the best team in the league for really the entire season, the Eagles just keeping pace with them has put this incredible pressure where they're basically in playoff mode right now if they want to get that number 1 seed. Like, they can't afford to slip. Obviously, the Bills just had a really tough loss to the Rams on the road, but you've got the Lions coming up. They're not going to want to lose 2 in a row, so they're going to be locked in. That's going to be a really tough game next week. Then you have at the Bears, obviously a division game, which they just played close. I think that they'll win that game convincingly. At the Niners and the Vikings, though, is really interesting. So I literally think it'll come down to the last week of the season, which is just going to be fascinating. And lucky us. Okay, this story is nuts. I don't know if you saw the news that Juan Soto got paid, but this is literally insane. The Mets signed Juan Soto to a 15-year, $765 million contract. It also includes no deferred money, so it can reach above $800 million. It's the largest contract in sports history. So to put this in perspective, LeBron James, who's played for multiple decades, has made $529 million for his entire career. Tom Brady, $333 million. $765 million, all guaranteed, by the way, because that's how baseball contracts are. All guaranteed. He will see every cent of that money. Now, he's a 4-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, batting champion, home run derby champion, World Series champion. But that is a insane amount of money. And he turned down a 16-year, $760 million deal from the Yankees. Now, I don't understand how this will be helpful for the Mets. Like, they've only reached the playoffs twice in the last 8 seasons. Obviously, he's an incredible player, and there was a bidding war for him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, wow, that's a lot of money for one player, and they haven't won a World Series since 1986. That's the year before I was born. So quite some time ago. I'm just my gabbers are flaccid. Like, it's crazy. And then the Dodgers are going to win again. Like, the Dodgers are the best odds to win the World Series, and they're looking to be the first team since the Yankees in 98 to 2000 to win consecutive World Series. They have an unbelievable roster. It's wild to me. Good for Juan Soto. Like, congrats. It's like OnlyFans money. Like, good for you. I'm here. I support. This is crazy. Like, people ask me all the time, like, oh, like if you have a son, like, what sport would he play? Baseball. We play baseball or soccer, and it's not a conversation. You don't get to make choices. I'm joking. Obviously, he could do whatever he wants, but like, if I'm deciding as a parent what sport to put my male child in, soccer or baseball, and preferably baseball, because it's way less wear and tear on your body. Juan Soto has a 15-year deal. That means they think for the next 15 years he is going to contribute at a high level to their team. 15 years. You would never sign any other athlete in any sport to a 15-year deal. Think about that. Think about the wear and tear. You would not sign a basketball player to a 15-year deal. Football, please. 10 years is outrageous, and that's like one player ever. It's absolutely crazy. Like, at the point in which teams are paying almost $1 billion to one player, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? That is insane. Good for him, though. I love it for him. He's going to be a billionaire. That's incredible. But flabbergasted. Gasted or flabbers. Like, unreal. So let's get to a couple YouTube comments before we get out of here. Too Many Lies 7716. I feel like Too Many Lies is in the comments a lot. I appreciate you. I just can't stand when players like Saquon and Derrick Henry have these type of years and can never win. I'm only good with double MVP because I think it's the best way one will actually win. Yeah, I agree. I just think that we need to split the awards. Like, I think there needs to be a quarterback award, and it needs to be prestigious, and that will solve this, because then the voters will not feel obligated to honor that quarterbacks are truly the most important position on the field. And if you are playing a quarterback at a high level, that you are likely contributing to in a very significant way to your team winning. So I get it. I get why it's become a quarterback award. I'm with you. I don't think it's fair that in the ultimate team sport, with so many guys contributing to winning, that only the quarterbacks are eligible to win, even if they don't have MVP statistic seasons. It just doesn't make sense. At Oso Actual, I cannot imagine Coach Prime not connecting with players. He's all time. Now, him being under Jerry Jones is something that I think might be a wrinkle. Obviously, Jerry is a wrinkle in a lot of the plans that the Cowboys have, because he has been the consistent thing there for the last 30 years of them not getting past the divisional round. I have lots of thoughts on that, but to keep it concise, that is why I believe that Deion Sanders is the only man on earth that can save the Dallas Cowboys. Because he is familiar, because they have a relationship, because he has the juice to be able to override Jerry and his decisions, because the chaos that Jerry creates with his comments and radio quotes and, just the whole production that is the Dallas Cowboys, Coach Prime can handle. And I think that for many, many years, Jerry has specifically hired coaches who he feels he can control and who will not get the credit and who he can maneuver around, with the exception of, say, a Bill Parcells, since Jimmy Johnson. And this would be something that shows me that he's willing to let go of some of that control. And I think that's the only way that they win. And I think that Deion Sanders is the only one who can command that. Now, Bill Belichick's name has been thrown out there, but apparently he's significantly looking at UNC. But the reason I don't think Bill Belichick fits is because I just don't think he's a culture fit for the Dallas Cowboys. Like, everything that went on with the New England Patriots was so diametrically opposed to everything that the Cowboys do. The do your job, no personality, we're on to Cincinnati, the Patriot way. Blah, 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 blah. That's not going to work in Dallas. And while he is the greatest coach ever, in conversation, obviously, with Andy Reid, in my opinion, but certainly can't ignore 6 championships, I do not think that his style applies to Dallas. I think it would be a disaster. So I believe that Deion Sanders is the only one that can fix the Cowboys. But we'll see what happens in the next couple months and where it all shakes out. Thanks so much for joining me today. Make sure that you subscribe and leave your comments, because we get to them, and like and share. Have a great week, and I will check you out later.